Welcome to Star Trek 101.
All right, on this is our review analysis of the Corbomite Maneuver.
Corbomite. It's kind of like carbonite, like Star Wars.
Okay.
Corbomite.
Star Wars ripped off Star Trek. Look at that right
I know. Corbomite, carbonite, they're kind of the same thing.
Okay.
All right, my question is this. Why was this like episode number 10 in Netflix?
Oh, because it was aired. It was the 10th episode aired. But we're reviewing these in production order.
All right, now my second question is this. Production order, this is the second one produced.
Well, technically third.
The main characters seem kind of well polished in this one.
Not quite yet.
As compared to the first one.
Oh, yes, definitely.
As compared to the first one. So
okay.
It looks like, their second production, they made a pretty big leap forward.
Yeah.
As far as characters.
Yeah. Because the final casting for the show wasn't there. They got rid of that dumb doctor because he wasn't working. He was just a grumpy old man. And they replaced him with a grumpy old better man.
Which was Leonard McCoy.
Leonard McCoy. I'll have more to say about Leonard McCoy in following episodes. But again, since it was the first one they made with Bones McCoy, they fleshed out his character. It was a really good introduction. He's sitting there, he's giving Captain Kirk the physical, and he's ignoring the red alert that's going on.
Oh, you're killing me!
What I did like is everyone was there. They had Mr. Sulu, they had Uhura, they had Scotty, they had Leonard McCoy, they had Spock and Captain Kirk, and they even had Yeoman Rand. So they had all the cast was there. Mm-hmm. And they were all developed, I think.
Yeah.
Fairly developed.
They each got their little beat. Yeoman Rand was kind of this mother hen type of thing, She's giving Captain Kirk the salad, and he doesn't want the salad. And
that was another thing with Leonard McCoy. He was just being a big antagonist the whole time. Or is it just me, or is Leonard McCoy just like the big troublemaker of the whole show?
He's very antagonistic,
yes. He's anything Captain Kirk wants, he's just going to take the opposite position just to mess with him.
No.
And then when Captain Kirk's not looking, he's got a big grin on his face.
No, that's not what McCoy's about. He's just very antagonistic and very passionate about his opinion. For example, he is telling Captain Kirk that he promoted Bailey. Bailey, right? That was the name.
They're all going to die,
Mr.
except
Bailey.
He's got to get on Captain Kirk's case for being too hard on Mr. Bailey.
Yeah,
but they're all going to die. But, Captain Kirk, I'm going to record this in my official doctor's journal that you were mean to Mr. Bailey. And, maybe, Leonard McCoy, you should worry about everyone getting killed.
Well, sure. But you have to understand, Bones is highly illogical and emotional. So he's afraid of dying too, but that doesn't come out as, oh man, I'm so afraid of dying. That comes out, he expresses it just like every other human. You're mad at something, you're afraid of something, you take it out on the people closest to you. So he's afraid of like the ship exploding, he's like, he's got to express it somehow, but he's a man, so he's not too in touch with how he's feeling, exactly what he's feeling, like all of us are, so he blows up at Captain Kirk.
That's a very good analysis.
Anytime you can bluff me, Doctor.
3 minutes.
We're talking about the characters. I noted the interaction between Mr. Bailey and Mr. Sulu. They're friends, but Mr. Sulu clearly is covering for him the whole entire show. It's like Mr. Bailey is kind of a screw-up. No, Mr. Bailey, all right, you got to do this now, you got to do that now. I'm going to take over for you a little bit because you kind of don't know what you're doing. And so there was a nice interaction between those two characters, which was good because I like Mr. Sulu. And you got to see again, Mr. Sulu is, he's on the spot. He knows what he's doing.
The cool thing, I didn't pick this up, obviously, the first time watching all these things, but you notice now, this characterization of Sulu, he's got the countdown. He's always doing countdowns through the whole frickin' series.
If anyone's interested,
30 seconds.
You know what? I didn't know that, but now that
Yeah.
you mention it, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he's always doing those countdowns, and then that's like one of the keys to his character, because even Scotty's like, oh, you got an unhealthy. I can't remember what the line was, but
You have an annoying fascination for timepieces, Mr. Sulu.
he's like, yeah, you're always doing countdowns, Sulu. So anyway.
Mr. Bailey is the stereotypical unprofessional person. You're watching all the other characters being professional, you know, except for this one guy who sticks out like a sore thumb. Mr. Bailey, from the very beginning, doesn't know how to keep his mouth shut, doesn't know how to do his job properly, doesn't know how to behave, on the starship.
Well, there's always familiarity with the bridge crew.
Well, I agree. Yeah, I agree with that. But you just
But
notice
Bailey
the
does not
contrast,
keep
yeah.
his cool under pressure.
One of these things doesn't belong, and it's Mr. Bailey, and it's just, he was the guy that's supposed to get killed, but he doesn't get killed in this episode. I don't know if that's a
He was the
disappointment or that's something good.
He was a feature extra.
Yeah, so.
Tony Call, he went by mostly. And I think Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was based on all these character actors in old Hollywood, Mm-hmm. They're doing all these TV shows or in these movies, just solid blue-collar actors is pretty much what they are. The other thing, Baylock was played by Ron Howard's little brother.
Clint Howard, yeah. Clint Howard, Ron Howard's little brother.
Plus, the voice of the puppet alien was Lurch from the Addams Family.
That's a good one, too.
Yes. Ted Cassidy, who actually did another supporting role. He played an android later on in the series. Good old Lurch from the Addams Family did the voice of the Baylock puppet guy. So what was your favorite character or whatever in the show?
Yeah, it's hands down is Mr. Spock. Mr. Spock's almost always my favorite character, but I got to see him shine a little bit in this episode. He was in command. He did everything efficiently. He was completely logical. He assessed the situation and gave his honest recommendations. And even when there was no recommendation, he kept his cool. Almost got compassionate.
Is that your best recommendation?
By then he caught himself and straightened up and said,
I regret that I can find no other logical alternative.
I saw an interview with Leonard McCoy, who said this was the first time Spock said,
Fascinating.
and he said that defined,
that's fascinating.
according to Nimoy, that defined Spock's character for the rest of the series.
Fascinating.
All right, this is what I say. He's unemotional. Well, he was really enamored with the superior technology. He thought it was fascinating.
By it,
He was
yes.
fascinating. He liked the superior technology. That was up Mr. Spock's alley. The other thing that was up Mr. Spock's alley was star mapping. That was like the most boring, tedious thing. Somebody, let's count all these billions of stars. Okay, stop, take a snapshot. Okay, now let's record them all down. It's got to be the most boring thing ever. Mr. Bailey sees that.
3 days of this now, sir.
But Mr. Spock is like, what are you talking about? This is the best thing ever. This is like my purpose in life.
Lieutenant.
I don't know if I got that from him. I thought, because Spock does have a sense of humor. Even though he's Mr. Logical, he does throw some jabs in there.
He did.
What was the line? He was like,
Does sound most inconvenient, however. Have you considered having it removed?
Yeah, he did. He does that. So.
and then Sulu's got a little supporting thing like, hey, don't mess with Spock. Spock's smarter than you idiot. So the main themes of the episode. The main themes were obviously dealing with the unknown. And you had different people reacting differently to the unknown. And is it a threat? And Kirk addresses that specifically when he goes ship-wide and he does the ship announcement.
Captain to crew. Those of you who have served for long on this vessel have encountered alien life forms. You know the greatest danger facing us is ourselves, an irrational fear of the unknown. But there's no such thing as the unknown. Only things temporarily hidden, temporarily not understood. In most cases, we have found that intelligence, capable of a civilization, is capable of understanding peaceful gestures. Surely a life form advanced enough for space travel is advanced enough to eventually understand our motives.
Well, thematically, it's like, what do we do with the unknown? Do we fear it? Do we immediately destroy it? They couldn't anyway, but that's what Bailey wanted to do. He's like, I say we blow it out of the sky.
That's another thing. How are we going to deal with the unknown? They really don't have any choices. The unknown is calling all the shots.
It's the unknown and it's the powerlessness. So how do they deal with that? and everyone's
Do
getting
they
nervous.
panic like Mr. Bailey?
Bailey panics. McCoy misdirects his anger.
And even Mr. Spock, he resigns. It's checkmate, the game is over. So it once again, it's up to Captain Kirk to come up with this ingenuity and save the day. And Captain Kirk comes up with the bluff. I'm going to bluff. If you ask me, it was a very lame bluff. I mean, anyone could have saw through that a mile away. It's just like...
Any human, you don't know what. Maybe the aliens don't have poker. Maybe they don't have bluffing in their society.
And they have superior technology. They can do everything else. They're dead. They're in the water. There's nothing they can do. All of a sudden, oh, by the way, we have this secret weapon that will instantly destroy you, so you better not try to kill us. It's just like, come on now.
That's the Corbomite Maneuver.
The Corbomite Maneuver was pretty
bluff.
lame in my opinion. There's another theme that is very important in this episode that we haven't really touched on yet, and that's diversity. You see all the diversity in the characters, and you see that Star Trek as a TV series is taking the lead in diversity.
Definitely.
They were really a pioneer. You got to see it a little bit in this episode. You got to see all the different characters and the different backgrounds, and then you also got to see it kind of in the story as well. Don't judge a book by its cover, you know. Not every alien's a mean guy trying to kill you. It could just be an innocent little kid, you know. So
I don't think Balak was an actual little kid. He was just a short alien.
well.
The last thing I have down for themes was that where Starfleet is not necessarily a military institution, they do have a chain of command. And it's a very militaristic sort of command structure, which goes through the whole series. And a reason why is because Gene Roddenberry was in the Navy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he was in the Navy.
That makes perfect sense.
The command structure is very efficient, so that way. So that was the other theme I noticed, and they introduced that pretty well. Not so much in that pilot we did, but and the other line that reinforced that.
So are we going to just let it hold us here? We've got phaser weapons. I vote we blast it.
I'll keep that in mind, Mr. Bailey, when this becomes a democracy.
And he nails it home. This is not a democracy. This is
Mr. Bailey is out of line throughout the whole show. World building, callbacks, and foreshadowing.
Oh, okay. Well, I think Kirk does try and do the Corbomite Maneuver in a later episode, and it fails.
I think Star Trek is really about, in a lot of ways, is about puberty. It's about young nerds trying to discover what it is to do with their sex drive, which is suppressed.
What?
Don't you think that is like the nerd thing? It's just they have these suppressed sex drives, and then their lives end up being all about television and Star Trek, but they never really go out on a date with a girl. You remember that when Captain Kirk said that?
I was a nerd and a Trekkie. I went on dates.
Well, anyway, maybe I'm misinterpreting. Why are they going where no man has gone before? Because they're not happy with their home life. You know? It's just, don't you think that's it? You know, why are they reaching for the skies? Because it's part of what science fiction is. It's part of what science fiction is.
It's just
science
fiction. No, it's not. Maybe there's an element of that to it, but it's the pioneers.
All right, hold on.
The people that settled the West.
No.
Yes, it's adventure. You're going into the unknown.
That's all right. That's the underlying theme. That's one of the underlying themes. But sci-fi is associated with nerdiness, and nerdiness is associated with sexual repression. Am I wrong?
Yes, you're wrong. I don't think.
I have to say what I liked most about this episode was seeing all the characters there and getting the character interactions. And that.
All right. So my favorite part was when Bailey spazzed out on the bridge. That was just my absolute. That made me laugh. He's spazzing out because he can't take the pressure. And my favorite line is when he's like, we only got, 10 minutes. And Sulu's like, actually, we got 7 minutes. He's like, oh my God, he's keeping a countdown!
Mr. Bailey.
I don't understand this. Spock's wasting time. Everybody else just sitting around. Somebody's got to do something.
You see, Bailey.
What do they want from us? Let's find out what they want us to do.
They want us to lose our heads,
We've
Bailey,
only
now.
got 8 minutes left.
7 minutes and 41 seconds.
He's doing a countdown.
Practically end of watch.
What are you all out of your minds? End of watch? It's the end of everything. What are you, robots? Wound up toy soldiers? Don't you know when you're dying? Watch and regulations and orders. What do they mean?
Bailey, you're relieved. Escort him to his quarters, Doctor.
This show would be extremely dull if it were not for the hyper dramatic music.
Yes, I was going to make that point
suspense
too.
music.
Yes.
It's just like if you watch the show, you're going to see just a lot of blank scenes, like nothing's going on. But that suspense music kind of makes the whole show. So much so that I don't know what Star Trek would be without all the hyper drama.
All right, it's time for the Kirk Foo review. There's no Kirk Foo, no fight.
Kirk Foo in this show was the Corbomite Maneuver, which was a bluff, which was basically a bluff.
That doesn't count as Kirk Foo.
That was his only move that he could do, is a bluff. What did you think about Captain Kirk working up a sweat without his shirt? I mean, was that just kind of a little bit obvious? Okay, let's say Captain Kirk.
Is there an episode where he doesn't get his shirt
I mean,
ripped?
it's just like, let's.
Oh, so yes, I would like to ask our female viewers that are attracted to men, or anyone, I guess, that's attracted to men, if that is sexy. You just know, you think it's cheesy that Captain Kirk, gets his shirt ripped off every episode. But write it down in the comments. Is Captain Kirk sexy without his shirt on?
I think, Captain Kirk being the sex symbol, it's true. He was the sex symbol of the
he
show.
tried. I don't know if he actually was.
Did he succeed?
That's
if
what they're
you
trying
saw
to
the
do.
interviews with Captain Kirk, all the ladies were gaga over Captain Kirk,
Were they?
and he had this big fanfare. That's what he said in one of the interviews that I saw him.
Oh.
So he had all
That's
these
what
fans.
I want to know in
So
the comments, especially.
this question is for the ladies who are Star Trek fans that watched it when they were young. Okay, when the series came out.
Yeah. Even present day.
Okay.
If you're a horny teenager, is Captain Kirk sexy?
You're cutting that part out right now. I'm sorry. You're going to cut out a lot of parts that I just said too.
What?
All right, anyway, you know what? I'm touching on a theme that probably is too sensitive for our viewers because we want to keep this a little bit more wholesome, I guess you can say. But I don't think we need to.
You seem to be of the attitude that only adolescents going through puberty like sex.
No,
that's not
what I'm saying. Yes, I think,
that seems to be your viewpoint.
I think adolescents going through puberty that are a little bit repressed tend to like science fiction more. I don't know why, but I believe that's true. And if someone agrees with me, go ahead and let me know.
You're going to get a lot of hate in these comments.
That's okay. You know what? That's okay. What am I here for? Am I here to get everyone to love me, or am I here to speak my opinion and speak my mind? I'm speaking my mind.
You're to analyze Star Trek.
And that's part of my analysis.
All right.
That is part of my professional analysis.
All right.
Captain Kirk, you are nothing more than
a repressed sexual
adolescent. You are nothing more than a tool for sexually repressed adolescents. There.
Captain's log, stardate 1329.1. We have taken aboard from unregistered transport vessel its captain and and 3 unusual females. These women have a mysterious magnetic effect on the male members of my crew, including myself.